David Brady, good morning to you. How are you?
Morning, Jared. How's things?
Yeah, very good. Very good. We're just wrapping up Tommy's power rankings there. I don't know if you heard any of that, but I think that there's a couple of months of, 7 or 8 weeks of shadow boxing until we get to All-Ireland quarter-final weekend.
Where'd you put Mayo there during your own? Was it fourth?
I had him fourth, yeah.
Fourth, yeah. Fourth, David. That's what Jared. That's what Jared thinks of Mayo right now.
Yeah, well, you get to an All-Ireland semi-final if you're fourth, and then you see what happens.
Are you fit? You're okay, Jared? Yeah, this weather, yeah. Fourth. Is the National League competition not to pick the current best team in form?
No, because Kerry don't care about winning the league this year, having been defending All-Ireland champions in a way that they did last season when they were trying to get some structure around what they were doing and set standards. This year they know the standards and they're trying to find new players. I also think that the Dubs were in Division 2, so maybe if Dublin had been in Division 1, things might have been different, but I'm not sure they would. I think that for Dublin, it's just about getting the depth and making sure everybody's fit by All-Ireland quarter-final weekend.
Yeah, if Dublin were in Division 1, it would have been interesting, but I don't think they're playing the type or style or quality of football that would deliver them a National League title. And you're right about Kerry. They set out, and Jack O'Connor was very open on it. They set about, looking to deliver a league title last year, and they delivered it. I think it has definitely stood to the winners of the Division 1 title over the last number of years. That it has given that momentum, that positivity going forward in the championship. And I think, honestly, I wouldn't. You couldn't have Mayo at current power rankings at number 4. You'd have them. You have to have them the way they're playing from a current perspective, form, quality, depth. I definitely have them at number 1. Current power rankings. We're not Mystic Megs. We're not looking into the future. We're just what we have now and what's there. Definitely the number 1 form team in the country. And as Kevin McStay kind of said, that's something for them to shoulder now. National League champions going into the Connacht Championship next Sunday against Roscommon.
Can I ask you, if that's the case, how come you need your goalkeeper to be man of the match?
Because you look at things, Martin, that wasn't a perfect performance. It wasn't a perfect game. And again, the point that Cormac Reap got man of the match was one that he got 3 vital frees. There were 2 45s and a long distance. If Galway probably had Shane Walsh on form, or they were better at their long distance pre-taken, they'd have been in that game a lot more and could have possibly won it. But then the 4 shots that Cormac Reap had to save is down to saying, looking at the video analysis and where did it come from, a lot of it came from some deep running around the middle, through Mayo's half back line, and that's something that Mayo will need to work on, because 4 goals like that, 3 months time, All-Ireland semi-final, 3 or 4 of them could go in. So that's something definitely Mayo have to work on. But it wasn't a complete performance, but it was enough to win the National League against a very good, well-organised, and I mean well-organised Galway team.
Just in terms of the defensive structure, are there any issues with that? Like, all joking aside and power rankings aside, if you're Mayo and you're looking at how Galway created those opportunities, other teams are going to be looking at that as well. So obviously the one-on-one defending is fine. Keane Johnson's doing a bit of work with us in terms of analysis, and he was making the point that Coyne was all over Finnerty. McBrien and Callanan did as well as they could on Shane Walsh, but overall the defensive structure is a bit of an issue. Runners from deep not being tracked, one hand pass takes out 5 or 6 players, and suddenly Galway are through on goal. So part of this is making sure your structures are right, and I suppose that's the point of the league. You Mayo will analyse this as well and go, okay, how did that happen? But is there a structural issue there? Are you happy for those chances to be the way they were, and that's the high wire act that you're playing?
No, I don't think it's a higher wire act or it's a gamble. But I do think that there is certain tweaks, and Conor Loftus again has been transformed. Mayo have kind of struggled to get a very kind of solid centre back over the last number of years. If we remember back, Aidan O'Shea was one of our centre backs in last year's league. So we've struggled from a positional sense like that. And again, from a +1 perspective, as it happened that Conor Loftus wasn't a sitting +1 when the runs from deep came. So it's more or less in their defensive setup. Guys not actually tracking the danger runners. Again, you would be looking at more help from your midfield and half back line on that. You had Peter Cook, you had John Maher getting 2 shots off. So their guys really coming from deep. But someone needs to be more or less marshalling that or picking out the danger runners. And I think it's definitely something Mayo will work on to say why is the runners from deep causing us problems. And it probably kind of adds a little bit more that you need a little bit more help from your half forward line and your midfielders to pick out these runners from deep. Even your full forward line.
Yeah.
Mayo played very defensively at times, massively defensively, which was a ploy, which was a tactic. Aidan O'Shea was probably deeper in the league final than he was in a lot of games because they set up with 14 men completely behind the ball inside their own 45, and that kind of stifles Galway's. If you give Galway space, they kill you with pace, and that kind of when you have a fast team like with Comer and especially Shane Wall starting off the game there, you are looking to kind of limit the amount of space them guys get.
The Conor Loftus thing I was going to tease out there. Loftus has been transformed, obviously, right, and has been a revelation in the league. He's not going to be a similar type holding, sitting sweeper. He's not going to be the Cian O'Sullivan. He's not going to be Tyg Morley. So that's why everybody else has to do those duties. Or do you try and turn him into that and stifle his attacking creativity a bit? Is there a trade-off? Or do you just go actually, and maybe this is the next stage of evolution of Gaelic football, is that your centre back is going to be more of a quarterback and more aggressive?
And as you mentioned, them players of the past like Morley and O'Sullivan and just do it to absolute perfection. But it's not an independent role, and it is very much based on the link and the telepathic, I suppose, understanding you have with your players coming around you and who's going to hand off to you or who's going to be your link to say, right, I can go on now once I get the nod or once I get the eyeball or once I know I'm being covered. And I think it's a massive, because again, what it does really is it stifles your inside forward line from being able to inflict damage on you. You have someone sitting in front of them covering the channel, whatever channel the ball is coming down, you need to have that channel covered. If there's runners coming through and you see them, maybe that's a bit of the problem, that the runners are coming through and the gaps are open, and it should be probably the +1 that goes to them. And that's just to say, you know what, I understand now that I should have went to that man, shouldn't have held space, should have pushed up a little bit closer. And again, it's work in progress, but it's a new dimension from Mayo's perspective, and it's he's capable, but it is going to be a very onerous job over the championship. But he has that attacking capability as well, because ball breaks down, you get a turnover. When you have the likes of Jack Coyne going ahead, Sam Callahan going ahead, Conor Loftus going ahead, there's serious attacking threats, and that's what we've seen from especially Coyne and Sam Callahan on Sunday.
We were full of praise for Tommy Conroy yesterday on the show, David, and I think rightly so. We were making the point with Maurice Brosnan that every time he got the ball, Croke Park seemed to light up a little bit. You always expect him to do something and take a man on. Those options that Kevin McStay has at full forward, and forward line generally, to be honest, but particularly in full forward when everyone is fit, that's not an easy decision for Kevin McStay to have to make. But then I guess in some ways you finish with your strongest team. How do you see that battle for spots in that full forward line in Mayo?
And now we're talking about the potential from Mayo's perspective, because for the first time, and I said it, there is that competition for places. Tommy Conroy came on against Donegal, and I don't know what defender it was from Donegal, but he actually just left him for dust. He was electric coming on, really injected massive pace, and you could see that confidence in his, like he is poetry in motion. What you want is to keep him fit and keep him injury free. Killian O'Connor is well on his way to be back. I would be very surprised if he doesn't play a part next Sunday. He's I think he's well on his way there. You have Enda Hession as well. You have Owen McLaughlin. From a forwards or from a team perspective, you have 3 or 4 fellas that are well capable of coming on, and really that's where you're going to be all Ireland contenders. Just like you were talking there earlier about Dublin. If you don't have that bench, you don't have that strength, well then you're going to be found out. You're going to be found out, and I think from a Galway perspective, they're again struggling a little bit with that. We seen it in the All-Ireland final last year. They were in it. They were there. But they just needed that to push on, and that usually comes from your bench, that depth and strength. And it wasn't there from a Galway's perspective. Young Tom O'Connell come on, good player, scored in the last minute of the game. But again, you want 2 or 3 more like him to be able to inject a bit of quality and I suppose a bit of spark and attack. Galway have it, or Dublin have it, Mayo now have it, and Kerry have it to a degree.
Pick your full forward line for us.
Number 1, and again last Sunday, Aidan O'Shea. Top class. From a work perspective, from a link perspective, I think he's having his best season so far, because he knows what he has to do. He knows this is his place, and again, he doesn't have to. From a legs perspective, he can protect them and use his strength. And we've seen the amount of frees that he got the last day. For me, I'm Killian. If Killian is fit, simple out. You have Killian, you have Ryan Donoghue, and Aidan O'Shea. So
James Carr and Tommy Conroy on the bench to come in and change the game as and when you need it.
Exactly, and it is horses for courses. I'd have no problem. With Killian out in the half forward line and centre forward.
Okay.
Dictating that if you want to put Tommy in, big time. Yeah. I do think from a half forward perspective, Jordan Flynn has played very well. Probably wasn't his greatest game last Sunday, but there could be potential for Killian to be there around the half forward line. And again, you have that mix and match. You could have Killian going in, Aidan coming out, and you have a perfect man from a target perspective, 60 yards down the pitch with the kick out that Cormac Reeve has as well.
Would you like to see Aidan O'Shea taking over the scoreboard a little bit more? Like he often does that dummy solo where he threatens to shoot and doesn't, but he's doing a lot of other work, I suppose, David, is the point.
Doing it all, he's doing that all year, Shane. Doing that all year. He scored probably more in the league than he has ever, I'd say, in his career. Very good. I said the amount of frees that he's got over the league, because he is, and you're going, like even Sean Armstrong, who was one of the top defenders, he lost him once or twice in that kind of step and that quick turn. And I think it was 3 frees that he got from Mayo that were converted. But no, he's doing exactly what's required, and he's adding so much of that team. And again, it's from a leadership perspective as well. As a senior player there, it's very good. It's very good.
I think only 4 of Mayo's points were from play off the 14, but that's not really a concern either. I guess you have to be, as you say, getting forward and earning frees, and there was a couple of attacking marks in there as well, so it's not really that big a concern, David, is it?
Well, you're kind of going, you don't like to say you've only scored 4 times from play, and I think Porrick Joyce alluded to that, to say, well, they only scored 4 points from play and the referee wasn't really on our side and blah blah blah. They got their marks, and again, it has been a feature. I think Ryan Donoghue has got, he's nearly in double figures for marks this year. He got 2 the last day. And again, it is that added, you look at Paddy Durkin, who is just a gazelle. Every time he looks up, and his first thought is there someone I can pick out? Is there a kick pass I can give? If not, then he goes on his bike. But it is that added fluidity that Mayo have brought to their game this year. The kick pass, you have a fulcrum there the vast majority of the time in Aidan O'Shea. Mayo didn't keep 2 up or 1 up from a defence or from an attacking point of view. They had everyone back at times. But when you have everyone back, it creates that avenue for your attack. And again, as I mentioned, Jack Coyne and Sam Callahan in the full back line, that was a massive step for them on Sunday, because they're young, they're enthusiastic. Experience comes with time. They need time. But winning the National League title was a very, very important step for them last Sunday.
In 2001, Mayo beat Galway in the league by a point, and then
don't talk to me. I know what you're going to say.
And then the Rossies caught them, and then Galway went on to win the All Ireland.
I know. And I'm looking. That was for me again. National League final against Galway in 2001. And I'm being straight and honest. I wouldn't. I hate them when it comes to football. They're lovely people, but I hate them when it comes to football. And again, it was nice to have a little smile after the game on Sunday, because there is that rivalry, there is that intensity. 2001, Galway had the last mile. They won the All Ireland, And it is going back to the 96, 97, 98 rivalry. Hatred. But it brought the level of football between the two counties and in Connacht up that step. And again, you have it now, two teams. You look and Porrick Joyce has done a phenomenal job. And we can look, I'd say, to look at 3 years ago, Galway were probably in the same situation as a Meath. They were just plodding along in the football world, Division 2, thereabouts. And now look at the steps and development that Galway have taken. All-Ireland final, you think, they might go on the beer, or there might be a lot of negativity, or they might take them a time to get back on the bike. National League final. And I wouldn't be surprised. As they'll be up there right contenders in the last 4, the last 2. And wouldn't it be great? And there's a possibility of having a Mayo Galway final this year. So that'll be one for the ages. But it's a credit to both counties, the managements, especially Porrick Joyce and his team, the way he has brought this Galway team, young, under 21 All-Ireland champions a number of years ago, and they're now contenders. And I don't think it'll be a setback. Whatever time it is now, what time is it in Portugal? It's 9:15, 10 in Portugal. I can guarantee you Galway have an hour and a half under their belt. They went out there yesterday, they've recovered, that have a swim gym session, but they'll be doing their morning shift at 7:30 this morning, and again this evening. This week will be vital for them, and I think it's great timing, because you're going, we lost the National League, but you're out in Portugal, the sun is shining, there's a little bit of positivity in it, and you can really circle the wagons for 3 weeks time in Saltine when Galway welcome Mayo back.
Or Roscommon.
I was going to say, the Roscommon fans are tuning in this morning.
Jesus, boy, sorry about that.
Do you think, Mayo, is that a foregone conclusion, David?
By no means is it a foregone conclusion, but you have to say to yourself, if you really adapt and play to your ability and execute your game plan as you should, two teams versus each other, Mayo should should definitely come out on top.
You're giving Davy Burke some material here.
I'm not giving them material, because Davy knows they'll be within that game. Are they National League champions? Mayo are. And again, Mayo are favourites for the game. And 9 times out of 10, favourites win. And I think it's I don't mind the week. I think it's nearly a good thing that they're going back straight on the bike again. After that game on Sunday to a game next Sunday in McHale Park at 4:00. I think you have to be confident, and you should be confident. And I think to have definitely enough, and to have that kind of capability and depth and strength from a bench perspective.
2019 was the other time that Mayo won the league and then got beaten by Roscommon in the championship. That's the last 2 times. It doesn't make any sense. 2001
doesn't make any sense for it to happen the third time.
2001 has no bearing on this one. It's true. It's just that it's a nice little quirk there that there's an opportunity for this Mayo team to make their own bit of history twice in a week.
And if I'm right, I think that Mayo had a big gap in 2019, something like a 5-week gap to the Roscommon game or something. But it doesn't matter if it's a week, 5 days, or 5 weeks. It's about getting the mindset right. And as Kevin McStay said on Sunday, that was after his press conference, he was going in, there was 38 of the squad, the backroom team, and it was the focus for Roscommon. And and again, we go back, Kevin McStay knows this Roscommon team, or knows Roscommon football as good as anyone. He's been there, he's managed them, he's had success with them.
Yeah.
So he'll be well up for this as well.
One last one. Notwithstanding everything we were talking about, the defence and the defensive structure, is there any bat signal that you do as the manager at this stage, given everything else that's going on everywhere else around the country, to Lee Keegan to say we could do with a sweeper style 6 who can complement Conor Loftus? Are you interested?
Oh, sure, look, and would you be interested in Oisin Mullen, and would you be interested in everything? It's unfortunately at this step, no, you wouldn't in any way, shape or form bring someone out from the cold into the red heat of championship, not having played any league game. It's different from a goalkeeper. It's different, legs, fitness and everything else. You're out of it for 6 months, and even players coming back from injury do struggle to get up to the level and to the momentum of senior championship football. And no, unfortunately, that won't be happening. That won't be happening. But I honestly, I think Lee would be a massive advantage if he was still there.
So, like,
if we look back,
there will be game time in the round robin. That doesn't really matter. There's more than likely in Mayo's scenario, like if they get through the Roscommon game, then you could definitely say there will be a game where they're guaranteed to be going through after, no matter what division they're in. It's very unlikely there's going to be a group of death, and even then there'll be a preliminary quarter final, as we've been talking about, that they'll be safe. So there's enough games to get somebody back in if you wanted it.
There's not, honest to God, okay. Not. No way. There's one game is not enough. 2 games, in-house games. There's 5 months of hard work and toil. Nearly 6 from these guys last November when they met up with Kevin McStay. They've done a massive amount of work. Donny Buckley has pushed them to their very, very, very limit. And again, it's very hard, very hard. I remember coming back. I came back into Mayo setup. I was over in Australia, living life. I came back around April time, and I just absolutely struggled to get back in. Yes, I got back in, and we went to the All Ireland final. I played, but you have it'll be too much for someone that at Lee Keegan's age as well to come and just try and get back on that train. His mind will be 100% capable, but no, Francis, don't be starting any rumours. That won't. I'd have told you by now, Ger. I'd have told you by now.
We're just suggesting it. Don't worry.
Yeah,
TV,
yeah.
You're feeling good about life, though. You have the number one in your power rankings.
Oh, without a doubt, number one in the current power rankings. Without a doubt, yeah. And I'm proud of it. They're a very good squad. And again, I just love what Kevin McStay is bringing. The open honesty and modesty as well. I think that's a very, very important part of the journey of what Mayo will be going on this year. Yeah, he's been a real breath of fresh air, and it looks like he's enjoying every second of it, as we are in your company again, DV. Thanks a million. Pleasure, Jar. Talk to you, Shane, buddy. Cheers, David.